Hi guys, so this is a phone screen share of a few phone features that we can use. The most important one is going to be Asana. So let me just pull this up. On Asana, it's very simple. You would go to My Tasks, and then you can view your tasks here. Very simple. As you can see, they are prioritized by day, currently right now, and I will show you how to do that. Let me show you first of all though how to add a task. So we add a task here by clicking at that very top bar. That's not a task. Let me say I am doing a video sharing of my phone. So this is a task which I am doing right now. And then I click done at the very bottom right. And as you can see, it disappears, unfortunately. So what you got to do then is you go right down to the very bottom. And here, I click on it. Automatically it was assigned to me. And that is where I add my due date, and I can add followers and so on. So I added for today. No repeat. You can add a repeat there if you wanted to. And I click on done. I go back to my tasks. Let's find it here. I have quite a few tasks today, and as you can see, it is just now going to come up to the very top of the screen, and you can see it there assigned for today. Along with that, for Asana, there really isn't a whole lot. You do have your inbox on the mobile. You do have your inbox here, which we mentioned in the previous video. You do have conversations, but you're probably not going to have tons of them. You can view it there as well. And then you have your projects here as well. So how to ensure that your tasks are sorted by today's due date is if you've got to pull the screen right down in order to see that little blue box. As you can see, it disappears. And you can view your completed tasks, tasks by due date, etc. just there. And that is important. You want to be setting that up from the start. That is Asana. The next one I would say would be voice memos. So for me, voice memos are massive. You will be able to use Asana a lot more so while you're on the road, for instance now. So you're using Asana, just to be clear, when you're using Asana is when you are on the road. So you have individual tasks, means you don't write them down. The idea of a pen and paper is pretty much almost gone in our company, bar maybe sales meetings, but otherwise everything would go straight to Asana while you're on the road. And a good example of when you might use a voice memo is from a sales meeting. You want to record the minutes right after the meeting before you go to your next meeting, or after a principal meeting whereby they said you're going to focus on a lot more needs, and there was values and a lot more specific items after a principal meeting for a regional manager. That is where you can add these right here, right after the meeting. Click on my new voice recording. I add all my stuff. Da-di-da-di-da. Click read again. Click on done. You can name it to that specific school if you wanted to. So let's just say Hamilton Elementary. Save. And then what I typically do is right after a voice memo is I will email it immediately to myself. Similarly, when you're on the road, I promote the use of voice memo, emails, and text messages. It means that there's no major delay, so that specifically the sales guys are going to be on the road quite a lot, and same with the operations team, a lot more so this year than last year, that's for sure. So you can email back and forth using this as well. So you can actually email people using voice memos, which is a nice segue to our next one. So this is our emails. So for our emails, I also promote trying to do this. Again, I can't say while driving, but I'll just sort of say while on the road. It is useful. So you can click on edit at any stage here, and I can start moving items into specific folders. And I know all of these, I actually do need updates daily, but it is stuff that I would archive using the bottom right hand corner. So I archived, I pressed the archive button. Other ones, for instance, I will be moving into specific folders. So this was a training that I was supposed to be trying to set up for the LMS today. That didn't work. I would write back to her, I make my reply here. I can write in something short and sweet. And then after doing so, I click Edit top right. I click here. I click Move. And again, for me, that goes into an operations folder. This is also quite intuitive. So for instance, if I go Edit for Shane and I go Move, it automatically comes up with C2C, which is the folder that I've moved him into before. So basically, if I'm going from one location to the other, by the end of my drive, I typically have sorted out 90% of my emails, and I have sorted out any text messages that have come in so that my inbox is nice and clean so that I'm set to go on my next project. That is that. Let me see. I think that's pretty much it. I think the one last thing just for emails, just to cover as well, when you are sending a voice memo email, click on reply. So I can also use this specific thing which will allow typing, and I use this for texting sometimes as well. And again, this is becoming pretty good. So it ended up getting 90 what I said, and that's with my thick Irish accent. So that is a useful thing as well. And just to be clear again, if you are doing voice memo emails, you click on the voice memo app here, and your emails or text messages are going to go back and forth. The voice memo will be still saved here, so that after clicking on the voice memo and after sending it, like we did a few seconds ago by clicking here, and let's say it's a text message, right after I text it, again, this is me going a little bit over the top and being anal, but I would delete that voice memo immediately so that I don't have a clog up of voice memos, because for me, my desktop, my downloads folder, my inbox, and my voice memos, I try to keep as clean as possible all the time. There was one last thing mentioned, which I mentioned, which was the use of stickies earlier on. So stickies, they are not, I'm not going to do another screen share of the laptop, but stickies are essentially like this on your laptop. And stickies are now only being used, whoopsies, I didn't have it here, but stickies are now only going to be used for the final last two items for the smartphone is Siri, and then also maybe use of maps. And sorry, I'll cover podcasts as well. So for Siri, as I'm sure you're all aware of, you click the middle button at the very bottom of the screen and Siri pops up. So we use Siri for tons of things. Basically, it's typically reminders though of given dates and times that you're going to be doing something. So for instance, I will put in my to-call list, I'm supposed to speak to Billy today at, it is actually around 1 o'clock, and then that's on my agenda of items. But as I want a reminder that will easily pop up for me, I'll add it here. Remind me to call Billy at 1 p.m.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Boom, and that'll pop up at 1 p.m. So we use that quite regularly. The other two items, number one is Waze. There's one or two people who aren't the biggest fan of Waze, but my finding is that Waze is being a lot more efficient than Google Maps. So simple as that. Waze is another option other than your Apple Maps or whatever it might be on whatever Android or iPhone you're using. The last one then is podcasts. So podcasts are up top right hand corner. I'm not really going to go too much into them, but you can simply search for items, and since people are on the road, you can find items to do with anything. So if I put down a sales closing Click search. I'm going to find tons of podcasts to do with actually closing sales. So closing a complex deal, the secret power of language, etc. So they're quite useful for while you're on the road as well.